Have you all heard about or seen Game of Thrones? Look at those smiles. So, in the end episode, so Brandon Stark was named as the king, right? Why was he named as the king? Do you remember? So basically, Tyrion Lannister suggested his name. And he asked one interesting question to all the kings and queens who were sitting there and who were about to elect the king. And that question was, what unites people? Armies? Is it money? Is it the flags? No, right? It's the stories. Stories unite people. Stories bring people together. Uh, you know, look at our history, our country, right? The culture of a country is created by the stories or by the history it has. And Brandon Stark knew the stories of the past. He was knowing what are the things that are shaping up the current situations they were in, and he could guide the people with the mistakes, make people learn from the mistakes, and create a better future. And in fact, we are also very proud of all the leaders that we have, right? The battles that they have fought, maybe on the horse's back, maybe through armies, maybe through a pen, or maybe through a satyagraha, right? And we are so proud and we celebrate these leaders along. We have even their photos on our currency. So this sets the context and the culture of the country, right? And in fact, this applies to the brand as well. Stories creates brands. Look at the iconic brands of the world. Take the most famous or innovative smartphone brand of the world, or take the sports brand, or maybe take the beverage brand. One will sell you innovation, one will sell you motivation, and the maybe a beverage brand will sell you the happiness. Now these brands are able to create a stories that you can connect yourself to. These stories make yourself look like a hero, and naturally their products also become a hero when these customers hold their products in their own hands. Now I have seen firsthand the power of storytelling, the power of brand creation for my previous startup. When we were in front of the customers, we were clueless and they were clueless, like why we are standing in front of them as a brand. We had very good numbers, we had a good deck, we had a good product, but we were not able to connect with them, and they were also not entertaining us. So basically then we paused and then we thought that let's try to create stories. And then we started telling stories about our brand. The story was not about the profits that we were making. The stories were not about the numbers of the product. It was about the first customers who used our product. It was about the challenges that they faced before and how our products changed their life. How our products make them look like a hero in their own organization. How they got promoted because our products brought value to their organization. And this changed everything for us. With these stories, we were able to create our marketing campaigns, align everything that we were doing. And within just 4 years, we were a multi-million revenue making startup. And we grew 10x, and we got acquired by one of the largest software company as well. So, the most important question is, how do you create stories, or how do you create a brand, right? And especially for founders like us. So, and you don't need to care if you don't know what is a marketing funnel, or what is a performance marketing, what is digital marketing. You just need to ask three important questions. First is, why will people care about the product, or what purpose your product is solving? Second, what emotions your product can trigger? And third, how people can relate to your product? How can people become a hero by using your product? And if you get answers to these three questions, things become very easy. Now, let's take an example, real-time example. Let's try to make something as simple as a coffee into a brand, right? So I brought something. So this is a gift for my daughter, but let's assume that this is a coffee packet, okay? So let's say I am a founder of this coffee brand, and the purpose that I am deciding is, let's say I want to give people the freedom. freedom from their past, freedom from the guilt they are having from their own mistakes, freedom from thoughts, freedom from everything, freedom from, machines and everything. And that's my purpose. And let me give this brand name as Freedome Coffee because my purpose is freedom. And then let's try to create a narration, from this. So let's say one early day you wake up and you didn't even sleep that day because you had a very bad day in the office. You presented a solution to a small problem which was not liked by anyone because you didn't use your experience. Uh, Probably you just used the chatbot and gave good prompts and you thought you had a solution, and everybody just hated you that day. And then let's say you are getting up from the bed and the sunlight is just stretching on the windows, and while adjusting the curtains of those windows you're thinking about yesterday, right? It was a bad day already, and you're thinking that am I too reliant on my AI bot? Am I too reliant on my prompt to solve my problems, to solve my company's problems? Even I'm using that bot to write an email or even to correct my email, right? And I literally had time to use my experience to solve that problem, but I didn't. I just wasted my time in scrolling through those illogical social feeds, through listening to those influencer. One influencer was telling me that I can save 5,000 rupees a month and I can be a millionaire in next 5 years. I can be financially free. And he was also saying that even if I'm earning 10 15 lakhs a year, I cannot buy a car because I don't follow his 30 60 90 rule. But wait, 30 60 90, wasn't that a theorem in geometry in 9th standard, 10th standard? This all things is not making sense, right? And then he just thinks, yeah, am I too reliant on machines? Where's my freedom? Right? And then he thinks that today is going to be a very different day. It's going to be the most wonderful day. And then he reaches out in the kitchen, scoops out few, spoon of coffee from Freedome coffee, and the aroma just drifts in the air, and you give the aroma gives you the sense of familiarity. And when you brew your coffee, the stems that comes from that coffee takes away the frustration that you had yesterday, and it gives you the freedom, the sense of freedom, the sense of liberty, and keeps you away from all the distractions, and you start to work on a problem and you come up with a solution, a very good solution. And later in the day in the office, while holding same coffee cup in your hand, you present the solution very confidently, and you give the numbers, you give the rationale behind that solution, and you see those nods in the conference room very immediately. And those nods are telling you that, hey, this is what we wanted. This is exactly what we envisioned. Let's do it. We are with you. And the meeting ends up in a very big round of applause. And after that meeting, you are sitting with your colleagues. Everybody is holding that same coffee brand, Freedome coffee in their hand, and everybody is discussing about the day. Laughters are just flowing. The giggles are just mixing with the hums of the coffee machine, and that coffee in everybody's hand is giving the sense of connectedness. That's telling that we are all together in this. And later you go, in your home, you sit with your loved ones, you pour 2 cups of Freedome coffee, and the sense and the aroma again gives you the sense of familiarity. It gives the sense of freedom, and just you smile with your wife or with your daughter, or you're sitting with your parents. Now, end of the story, right? So, if you see in all this journey throughout the day, Freedome Coffee was not a beverage brand, right? It was your companion throughout the day. It was a thread, that brought together your entire day together, from self-doubt to conviction, true conviction, from room of critics in that office to room full of supporters, and from that, lonely kitchen in the morning to the happy smiles in the home, right? And now you have set the narrative for the theme, which was, coffee brand, and the narrative, the theme was freedom, right? And now that freedom is carrying everything. uh, if you see, freedom with the narrative that we have set, we can launch other brands as well, because now this freedom is a revolution. We can launch a maybe Freedom cafe where you can sit with your loved ones, and there's no Wi-Fi, there's no network, and you can talk freely. You're not dependent on the algorithms. Or maybe you can launch a Scotch brand, free from your thoughts. Or maybe a Freedom water bottle, where you're free from the impure bottle. So you see what's happening. Now you have created this normal box as a big brand, a coffee brand, someone people can relate to, and this is already a hero in your mind. So, that's how the brand is created, right? So, just how Brandon Stark was made as a king, uh, based on the stories, he had, you can create your product, a brand, in the crowded market. You can just make it stand out. Remember, stories unite people, they inspire people, and they give sense to anything. And that's how you create a brand. Thank you.